from a galaxy far, far away.
And a bookshelf straight out of the 90s.
From Thrawn to Dantooine.
And everything in between. This is Legends Look Back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Legends Look Back. Proudly part of the Utini Podcast Network. This is a Star Wars books podcast for people who sometimes like to sing the Bananas and Pajamas theme song on loop, where we celebrate our rich EU history as well as dive into lesser-known Star Wars classics. I'm your host, Jared Mays, and I'm joined by my not-so-new co-hosts, Freddie C.
Pajamas, we love to come and play. Something like that.
No way, do you remember that? That's a deep cut, man.
That's a good one.
That's right. Freddie Deep Cuts C. That's right. The wonderful, the lovely. We also have another wonderful and lovely co-host. Do we call him a co-host or a producer? That is Rick Grace. Whatever we call him, here he is.
Hey, you call me what you want, I guess. I still suck at my job, apparently, because I can't get this opening to work the right way, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
We switched it up some.
Yeah, it's on me.
The people demanded. Actually, they didn't. The boss up above, boss man, Dr. Corey Helton.
Oh, thank God.
It's
fine.
He said, what if we trim the intros and get to the meat? And I was like, yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Turns out there's a reason we had the cold open, and it's so that I don't fumble over buttons and clicking things, but it's fine.
That is why we instituted it back in the day. We first started live streaming, and then we moved past that because we got better at it.
Well, and every time we make a mistake, we learn from it and keep on going, so it'll be great.
Absolutely. You know what else is great is the new Jedi Order. We are finally, after years of talking about doing it, we are getting into the new Jedi Order tonight. The Roundtable over Vector Prime. That's a pretty heavy metal title, isn't it?
It really is.
Heavy metal cover as well.
It does. It does look like a metal album cover, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What's the most heavy metal Star Wars book title? Crimson Empire is pretty. It's a pretty metal title.
I mean, Death Troopers is like, it's an obvious pick, I guess.
Well, speaking of this cover, let's talk about it a little bit. Of course, Vector Prime was written by R.A. Salvatore. I have an inside source that says that his friends call him Bobby. We won't. We're not on a first-name basis with Mr. Salvatore. R.A. Salvatore, this came out back in 1999. You guys want to know how I know that it came out in 1999?
How do you know?
Not because the title page says so, but because I have an inscribed copy.
Whoa.
My hardcover, I bought at a library sale because I lived in the same town as Mr. Salvatore, though none of my deadbeat friends could make the introduction.
Jeez.
Actually, I think he avoids Star Wars fans like the plague, to be honest. I could be wrong. But
he writes other genres, right? Like many things else?
Yeah, he's big into well, honestly, I don't know, but Frank hopefully next week is going to tell us.
Cool. Dwarf
books? There's dwarves?
I think, yeah, some of the fantasy subgenres and stuff.
I'm sure I can figure this out. The Demon Awakens the Demon Apostle, Legacy. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. I'm going to be honest that we could have done better homework. But my copy, it has an inscription, and it includes the words "Merry Christmas, 1999." I'll show this off to the camera. Look at this.
Nice.
In fact, it's crazy. It says, "To Greg, I based Anakin's crash with the Falcon on Judy's incident with her car and a tree. Ask her. Merry Christmas, 1999, R.A. Salvatore."
Wow, that's cool.
Oh, man.
Which is wild. Okay, guys, what are your impressions on this cover? Does it do the story justice?
Before we get there, I just want to say Demon Dwarves would be an excellent metal name.
Demon
Dwarves. Yeah, for sure.
Demon Dwarves in the Cloak of Deception.
Oh, there it is.
Love it.
Move over, Maylene and the Sons of Disaster.
Drizzt? Did he do Drizzt? That's a thing. People have said the words Drizzt to me.
Interesting.
Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What do we think of the cover?
Polarizing.
Yep.
Polarizing.
That's it.
From what's on the cover to what's inside, I'd say.
Yep. Do we want to go ahead and look at more of the cover art in detail, or
Yeah,
save that
show
for
this
later?
off. Show this off. I found
Cool.
some sources here online with some unbelievably detailed cover art. This is the full dust jacket spread, front and back, and
Wow.
it shows off the rich color palette that they've got going on here. Mind you, this is right after Drew Struzan retired, and so we've got a new cover artist doing these covers. And look at this one. This is textless. Audio listeners, Freddie, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, we're looking at what looks like I would call it a fresco, almost. From left to right, you've got Chewbacca on the far left with ice all over his face. That's probably from Hoth, I'd say, maybe a cut from Hoth, but in a distressing color, in a dark, distressing color. And you'll find out why eventually. And you've got some ships there, of course, the classic ships. And you've got some just like interesting geometric shapes right towards the middle, going into this like reddish yellow color to the right, almost contrasting what's on the left side of the jacket.
Kind of looks like we've got a star map going on, like a
Looks like a star map, yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Luke looks much older on this cover than you've seen on any previous covers.
Does he have a ponytail?
I don't know. That's a good. I don't see. I can't really tell. He could. How about headcanon? Yes.
In my mind, he's got a Steven Seagal ponytail going on.
Steven Seagal. I like it.
And then you've left out the biggest, most important, ugly elephant in the room.
My brain blocked it on purpose. But you've got this what looks like a bug shadow silhouette in the background of some sort. Is that the armor? I don't know. Is that the Ooglis Master? I don't know what that is. And then you've got the Yuuzhan Vong with the tattoos on the skin and the
kind of a pig nose.
Missing an mutilated face, that's for sure.
Looks like Rick when he first wakes up in the morning.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's probably fitting.
It's a terrifying image, that's for sure.
It is, for my money, one of the boldest covers ever in the history of Star Wars. They absolutely swung for the fences.
Oh yeah.
And I think it fits. Like it comes across as like you're reading a hardcore sci-fi book. Which this book is much more hardcore sci-fi than I think anything that Star Wars had given us before, barring possibly the Truce at Bakura and the Black Fleet Crisis.
Oh man,
which are pretty hard sci-fi for Star Wars. Guys, if you were to get a redesigned cover for Vector Prime, before we get into the content here, no spoilers yet. We'll get those in about 2 minutes here. If you were to do an ELC cover, Essential Legends Collection, a brand new revamped cover, a la Dawn of the Jedi here. Yeah, I got to show off my new Inkstone hardcover. Look at this beaut. We'll talk about that next week. If you were to do a redone cover, what would it be? What would you put on the cover?
So, I always have I'm always of the opinion that the art should match the title, and both should match the action or what's going on in the book. Okay. There's always terrible titles out there, which Vector Prime is not a bad title. It's just, and actually, I think if you think about like Vector as in where they're coming in from, and the first, like, I get that. That's great. And so I would have something that kind of builds off that star chart, or like a, I don't know, like a very monochromatic entryway where there's an alien like ship coming in from the distance.
Okay.
And it's very simplistic, minimalist.
What if you had the star chart, which there's a big map in here, and the map actually evolves. They change the map throughout the books. It's printed on the hardcover on the inside of the cover. It's actually printed straight onto the cover itself, which is awesome. Yeah, we got an image of it there, and they update it as the series goes on. More and more planets fall under the Yuuzhan Vong swath of territory. More and more planets fall under Hutt space. They actually alter the map. So I would put this map, and then Rick, you could do like a whole fleet of Yuuzhan Vong ships.
Yeah,
coming in. That'd be cool. I know you like the ships, Rick.
I like the ships, and maps are cool too. Maps and ships,
coral
man.
Skippers.
I'm
gonna say it right here, guys. If you put a map in your book, no questions asked, I'm in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And fun detail here before we get your answer, Freddie. John Jackson Miller, friend of the show, no big deal. He's got a new canon book coming out called, this is funny, called The Living Force. Rest in peace, The Living Force, the Utini podcast, The Living Force. His new book, The Living Force, is going to have a map in it.
Wow, that's very
exciting.
John Jackson Miller. I like that.
Yes, it is. All right, Freddie, give us your
Pretty
pitch on a Vector Prime cover.
All right. I'm going to try to keep it in line with the theme of the book, which is it's shock and awe in a way, similar to this cover. I would have maybe something more of like a two things colliding, creating calamity.
Oh, cool.
Right. Maybe you're not sure what this is. Oh, what is that thing crashing into the other thing? And maybe it's creating some sort of explosion. Within that explosion, you've got the images of, I guess you would say the heroes, right? It's not even the big three anymore. You've got the big three, and then you've got the other three.
Yeah.
You've got six main focus points, which is different than any other book. So I'd have maybe like the group there, and then facing them would be the most hideous things you've ever seen, just like what you see here on this cover, but maybe a little bit more menacing, overshadowing the other group, maybe behind the cataclysm.
Oh yeah,
looking over everything.
Yeah, that's an issue for me. There's a distinct lack of Jedi and lightsabers for the fact that this book is called New Jedi Order. I think we need to turn up the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's make it a little bit Legends look back, a little bit 90s nostalgia. Let's get the Solo twins with their arms crossed, leaning up against each other, a la like a Mary Kate and Ashley cover.
Ooh, or like a JCPenney family portrait.
Yes. Yeah, and then you can have Anakin standing behind them like this, with his
or
like
his hands on his arms on the
right.
ground. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so anyway, it's a controversial cover, controversial book. Here's one more idea. What about Millennium Falcon with the hatch, the wide open, Anakin dangling over the edge, reaching out his arm? What is he reaching for?
Well,
you'll never know unless you read the book.
He was piloting. It was Han reaching out.
Oh yeah,
that would work too. I'm great at paying attention to the books that I've reread. All right, let's get into it, guys. What do you say?
I am ready.
Let's do it.
Wait, cover art. One more thing. I, as a collector, have started going down a rabbit hole, and I've not bought any yet, but I've thought about it. Do you guys know about the Japanese covers of the New Jedi Order books?
No.
I do not. I know of the infamous Brazil copies, but I have not heard of the Japanese copies.
The Japanese New Jedi Order covers are quite possibly the finest Star Wars covers ever created. And I'm wanting to collect them. It's fine. I haven't done it yet. Just thinking about it. And Rick, I don't know if we've got any of these queued up for this episode or not. We can talk about them next week.
Yeah.
If not. But they go hard.
I have to look them up right now, so if I'm a little distracted, that's what I'm doing.
Ooh, yeah.
Man.
They really do a great job at depicting our heroes, the Solo twins. They've got big, bold colors, greens and swirls and purples. And so, yeah, we'll do like a full breakdown of the Japanese covers in a future episode. If any of our listeners live in Japan, want to shoot us some links, that'd be much appreciated. Find us at utini.com/Discord. Rick, I say we get into the book. What do you think?
Yeah, I just want to give you an update on the Japanese cover deep dive. They kind of remind me of like Lisa Frank folders from the 90s. And so, sorry, I don't mean to make you choke on your chewy there. But
Trapper Keepers.
There you go.
Wait, did Freddie literally have a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper on hand? Like literally, like in the fanny pack, ready to go.
Ready to go.
My throwback.
That's fantastic. Let's get into the summary of the
Let's
book.
do it.
We've got a lot to talk about here. I'll kick us off. Freddie, you take shift 2, and then Rick, round us out. We'll do 2 paragraphs each. Here we go.
Cool.
Spoiler warning, by the way. And I do mean spoiler warning, quite possibly one of the top 2, 3, 5 biggest spoilers in the history of Legends coming up in this description. Definitely worth it to read this one for yourself if you haven't yet. Get to it. You got plenty of time. Book's been out since 99. I believe in you. Here we go. 25 years after the Battle of Endor, the ranks of the Jedi have grown to number over 100. As Luke seeks to reestablish a Jedi Council, 2 factions have arisen within their midst. A passive contemplative group led by Jason Solo and Kip Duron's crew of proactive peacemakers. Their aggressive approach has polarized the galaxy, leaving some to question if the Jedi are in fact even good for its citizens in the first place. Capitalizing on its unrest is Nom-Anor, advanced scout for the extragalactic invading fleet of Yuuzhan Vong, tribal anti-technology boomers, warriors who are immune to the Force. Nom-Anor has infiltrated the planet of... I apparently left a blank here because I had to go look it up and I never filled it back in.
I was gonna just make a joke of that and be like, the planet of Space Comma.
Was it Belkadan? Is he on Belkadan?
I think so. Or
Yeah, there's some great
number
planet names in here.
Number 4.
Helska 4?
Maybe.
Anyway, he's infiltrated a planet's government and has stirred up anti-Jedi sentiment.
Yeah, you're right. Not that one. Yeah. Nom-Anor.
Stirred up anti-Jedi sentiment while fostering civil war. Not only that, but he's infected Mara Jade Skywalker with a deadly plague that's slowly draining life from her body. What a jerk. All right. Freddy.
All right, let's go. The Yuuzhan Vong fleet arrived at an Exgol 4 outpost on the fringes of the galaxy at the planet Belkadan. There we go, that's where it's at. Where scientist Danny Kui is taken prisoner by her former colleague, Yeoman Carr, another Vong spy. You want me to keep going there, Jared?
Yeah.
Okay. Fending off the Vong attack at the planet's Serpendal, Han Solo and crew aboard the Millennium Falcon were evacuating refugees when Chewie sacrificed himself heroically to save Han Solo's son, Anakin. Rest in peace, big boy Chewie.
F's in the chat.
F's in the chat for Chewie, everybody. Let's see here. Needless to say, his death will have ramifications that shake up everything for our heroes for years to come. What? Oh, that was it right there. That was the big one.
Yep.
F's in the chat, everybody.
Yeah. It's fine. I'm fine.
It was a heavy moment.
Not crying. You're crying.
Like, you guys did a good job.
We'll talk about it.
Okay, yeah.
It's raining. Right. It's raining in here.
Let's see. Let's continue. So Luke and Mara investigate the Exgol incident and throw down in an epic Amphistaff and lightsaber duel in which the Jedi Masters realize that the Yuuzhan Vong are going to give them an absolute run for their money. They're fierce warriors. So at the same time, Jason and his Campbellian, I can't say it, Campbellian, there you go,
yeah,
call to adventure, Campbellian, call to adventure, crossing the threshold moment, stages a rescue mission to find Danny Kui and Kip Duran's Jedi buddy, Miko, succeeding at saving Danny, but Miko takes a last stand. So Danny, having been behind enemy lines, is able to inform the Jedi and the New Republic about the Yamask, the Yuuzhan Vong war coordinator, a brain-like creature responsible for battle tactics, which definitely does not sound like Starship Troopers.
Finally, our heroes use some of Lando Calrissian's mining technology from Naklon. It's a little Thrawn trilogy reference, no big deal. To blow up the Helska system's sun, obliterating the Yuuzhan Vong's advanced force. They may have won the first battle, but at what cost? Only 18 more books left to go in the new Jedi Order. Guys, what is your rating for Vector Prime? I enjoyed it a lot more this time around. First time, the shock got me. I made myself physically sick. Was it food poisoning from the pork, the sage pork loin that I had the night before? Or was it the book that made me sick? I will never know. But I was up all night puking after I read about Chewie's death. I infamously tweeted at Peter Mayhew. I probably told the story before. I tweeted, just got to the part in the book where Wookiee, the thing happens, and tagged the Wookiee roars, which was Peter Mayhew at the time. He responds, he tweeted at me, this was 2014.
Oh, wow.
He responded to me, what in the world am I hearing? Something in here is making noise. Something is playing in my room. It's playing a song by the Avett Brothers, and I cannot find it.
Let's
Rick,
see.
Bump it off of me. Bump it off. See, this is what happens when we get to Chewie's death, okay?
Jared must have queued up his some sort of Alexa device or something to start playing some music or funeral music for our buddy Chewbacca.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a polarizing event. This was, I think one thing that I remember the most at the time was just how it rocked fandom. Right at this time, there was like a camp of people who were like, "This never happened."
I believe it.
And of course, then there was a group of people who, canon is what canon is, and the sad part is our author here, R.A. Salvatore, received a lot of negative feedback, even as far as going as death threats. So, I think in terms of ratings, you're going to see a lot of different ratings from a lot of different people. But yeah, come in open-minded, right? Come in open-minded. Know that this is Legends now, thankfully. The one good thing about Legends is that maybe this isn't real anymore. But yeah, polarizing. So with that, take these ratings with that in mind.
I'll say, well said. And Salvatore has gone on to say that most of his reception has been positive.
Yeah.
But those, the death threats kind of overshadowed that in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, y'all did a really good job, like alerting me about spoilers, so I didn't know about Chewbacca's death. We talked about the death of a major character, and so I was kind of braced for that, but was not expecting that, and it hurt, man. I felt it, and
yeah, it does hurt.
So that was
all of our best friend.
Yeah, absolutely. That was intense. But I think it was I really do like where they're going with that emotional pain. The father-son conflict between Anakin and Han is great, and then just on Anakin and Han as individuals, like the depths of their grief is intense. And man, I really like that.
Continue for several books,
right? Rating? Are we giving it a rating now?
Yeah, let's give the rating.
Let's do it.
Man. What we got? Masterpiece, incredible.
Yeah, I often like to squeeze the great in there before good. I think it belongs, but it's not an official Utini category. But we're bumped off the official Utini channel by this point anyway, so
right.
We could let it fly. I would give it like great, borderline incredible in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think same place for me. Maybe a little bit more closer to the incredible, but it's a good starting point for the rest of what's to come, and so I'm here for it. I had no expectations, so I had no clue where this is going, and so I think great. I like it. I'm gonna stop talking now.
This time around, after having read the series before, I didn't have to learn about the Yuuzhan Vong. I already knew it, so I was able to just kind of get into the Jedi lore and the meat of the philosophy and the drama, and I enjoyed it a lot more this time around. And probably because I was also not up all night puking. That helped. All right, Freddie, what's your rating?
Yeah, so this one's interesting. What I feel after reading this book is that same level of anxiety as the end of Empire Strikes Back, when you're just not fully sure what's going to happen. Everything seems to be okay, but at what cost, right? And you feel like this is like the primary invasion force, likely, right? And they're not ready. Their weapons, their technology, they're so unprepared for this attack. It seems like they barely made it out alive, at the cost of a lot, right? We lost one of our favorite characters, and that's one part where I'll never understand why Chewie, out of everybody, I feel like there's some others that could have gone.
I think Chewie's death makes the most sense. We can talk about it more in the show.
Yeah, we could talk more about it. But I really like this book. It makes you feel like the Star Wars. I mean, this is definitely a different Star Wars. We're talking a totally different threat, a totally different situation. It's not the same Star Wars that you kind of grew up with. It's sort of the same, but there's a lot of new folks here. There's a lot of new talent, a lot of rising stars, characters that you barely heard about before are now Giga Chads. So I would say
about Kip Duran.
It's great. This is great. It's a great book.
Kip Duran, Giga Chad, a Star Wars story coming to a theater near you. I would watch it. I would be there.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Absolutely, so it's a great book. I think it's a great book.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about some of these characters, Giga Chads and all. So on the one hand, we've got, as Rick was referencing earlier in the episode, your legacy characters, or maybe it was Freddie, you were saying you could have your legacy characters and the new cast of characters, and one overshadowing the other. That's really, in so many ways, what this book is about, other than the, gigantic invasion plot, which is huge, is the passing of the baton. So how well, in your opinion, does the Vector Prime do at integrating the legacy characters, your Hans, Luke, Leia's, Chewie's, with that next generation of Jedi, Jason, Jaina, Anakin, etc. Rick, we got a picture of the Solo kids.
Yeah,
they are taking center stage in this one.
That they are,
or at least they're on their way to.
Yeah.
Let's see.
How well does it integrate those two casts of characters?
There they are.
So I think they're integrated very well. They're front and center, absolutely. And they each kind of definitely have enough page time, that the phrase, or page space to to have some depth in their character. My critique would be with the classic characters. I feel like Han didn't get enough character establishment before his grief takes over. Especially as a new parent. If you haven't read and you don't know that he's a parent, or anything like that, if NJO was your starting point, you wouldn't know much of how he's grown in the last, 15 years or whatever it is. More than that, 20, 23 years, something like that. But
yeah, I think that's a valid critique.
Interesting.
There's so many authors who I think can write Han effortlessly. I don't know that Han, for me, is characterized in such a way that really rings oh, he gets Han. But Han's also not out there having a whole ton of fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how I felt. Vector Prime New Jedi Order assumes the characters already. There's a lot of assumption already, and there's no new. I wouldn't say there's a lot of character exploration going on here with the original three. It's assumed. I think in most cases we do see some development here and there, but it's not focused because it does have to share the pages with the new three, right? Jason, Jaina, and Anakin, whom, in my opinion, they do take over enough space where you can feel who they are. But I don't feel like they received as much development in this book. And of course, I think the assumption there is you're going to read the rest of the 19, so you'll get a hang of them. But yeah, I'd say they for splitting as many main characters, this huge cast, into this 400-page book, I think it did a great job. I don't know if you could have done any better.
Yeah, I do like the way that it establishes Jason, Jaina, and Anakin in this book. Jason and Anakin are on opposite sides of a philosophical divide. We'll talk more about that divide in a minute. And then Jaina has absolutely, for my money, one of the coolest standout moments in the whole book when she pilots the TIE fighter through the asteroid field without shields. And Lando's, what is it, like a theme park?
The asteroid belts.
Yeah, whatever side hustle he's got going on.
Yeah, this one's not a great idea, but it's cool. Definitely cool. So I think it establishes them. My issue with them, though, is that they're not necessarily faithful to how they've been portrayed in the Young Jedi Knights books. But to be fair, I don't know if you're bringing in an A-list sci-fi fantasy author like R.A. Salvatore and then requiring him to read all 14 Young Jedi Knights books in order to
fair point.
Write these. So you got to kind of pick your argument there. And there's also an argument to be made that they've grown up some. They're no longer the, scrappy teenagers. Though in this, aren't they supposed to be what? Jason and Jaina are 16?
Okay. Were they 16?
I want to
They
say
kinda-
they're like 16 or so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
it describes them younger than I remember.
Yeah, I was thinking 20, but then I do remember seeing like 16. So yeah, that sounds right. Because Anakin's significantly younger. Well, I mean, not significantly, but he's not 16.
Yeah, right.
isn't he like
A few years-
15? Like only a year?
Yeah, we'll have to get a timeline expert on the show to
That's
clear.
yeah. Do we have
clear
any of
up some
those
of
at
this stuff
UTN? I'm not sure.
for us. But it does begin to integrate these the legacy characters with the next generation. It's not about one upstaging the other. I think they both get a decent amount of page count in the story. And what's fun in the new Jedi Order is you'll get some books that are more Han books. Some books are more.
Oh, yeah.
There's one that's almost entirely a Jaina book. One is absolutely 100% a Jason book. So you do get to spend more time with some characters along the way. Another character who takes up a good chunk of screen time, who's already gotten a shout out a couple times here in the episode, is Kip Duron. Guys, in your opinion, I'd like to have a little bit of showdown here. So line up on opposite sides of the battleground, if you will. Is Kip Duron, in your opinion, a hero or an absolute Chad? On Team Chad is Freddy, right?
I would say he's a Chad.
So do I have to be opposed to that opinion?
No. What's
Rick, what is your opinion?
Oh yeah, I mean he's somewhere on the Chad spectrum, maybe a Brad, but I
on
mean
the
he's
Chad spectrum?
he's definitely a pain in the butt, man.
Apologies to all of our listeners out there named Chad.
Or Brad. I have some friends that are Brad. Anyway, yeah. So let me describe kind of why he is a Chad.
Sure, yeah.
So he's got this really hostile mentality where he believes that the Jedi should not be really taking a defensive role and keeping the peace, but instead should be actively pursuing and belligerent toward the Yuuzhan Vong. And that if they don't kind of have a show of force, then they're not going to rise to the prominence they used to have and all that kind of stuff. And so it's kind of like a for glory and triumph, kind of like this war cry that he's just a full-on warmonger.
And even before the Yuuzhan Vong, I mean, he's already out there with his
Starkiller,
his
Sun
gang,
Crusher,
trying to put pressure on
yeah,
the evil ne'er-do-wells of the galaxy.
yeah,
Because the Jedi Knights are out here to kick butt and take names.
yeah,
And Luke is like in the government fielding complaints.
right,
Because of Kip.
yeah,
Right.
And I don't know, like philosophically, I think that the way Kip is written for this is like you're supposed to hate him, but like, is he wrong 100%? I don't know. I'm wrestling with that.
I think it's a great philosophical divide here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure I necessarily think that one is right or wrong. I do think that there's a big pattern that you see repeat. Star Wars, it's got its what's the George Lucas quote, Freddie, that it's like poetry, it rhymes.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Faster, more intense.
The echoes, different quote.
Yeah.
So you've got to think about Revan, for example, in the Old Republic. The lore goes that he and Malak felt like the Jedi Council was sitting back and not being proactive against the threat of the Mandalorians. So they end up with this faction that follows Revan to war. And his complaint is that they were just sitting back and taking this kind of passive stance. We don't want to get involved, non-involvement. I kind of see this as a ripple effect, an echo of that. The sense that we're not just going to sit back and wait on war to come to us. Let's kick some butt. We're Jedi after all.
I mean, let's see. Kip Duron, he's responsible for many Imperial deaths.
Yeah, genocide.
Probably many smuggler deaths. I understand where Kip Duron's coming from. He was locked away in the spice mines. And now I feel like he has this sense of like purpose of I need to do something. I was locked away doing nothing for so long. I need to do something. And of course, it's kind of the overzealous, in my opinion, way of just, I wouldn't call him chaotic good. I feel like he's lawful good, where it's just like for the right. I'm going to destroy you for justice, and I understand where he's coming from, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And having that rough life at the beginning into having this. Is he a master? No, or is he a Jedi Knight at this point?
Yeah, I don't remember if that's spelled out in this book, but my understanding is he's one of Luke's earliest apprentices, which leaves him at this point as one of the handful of Jedi Masters out in the galaxy.
Yeah. So he's
just
definitely
barely on that master line.
Yeah.
Polarizing is a good word for him. See, everything about this book is polarizing.
Oh, for sure.
That's
Speaking of
interesting.
polarizing. Jason and Anakin end up on polar opposite sides of a spectrum, and I find that their ideological debate is one of the most interesting things in the whole book. And theirs is not so much concerning the nature of the Jedi as much as it is the nature of the Force. Mm-hmm. Rick, I felt like you would love this.
Yeah.
Which side of this did you fall on?
Well, I'm waiting for Jason to kind of flesh out his thoughts. You know, he hasn't really had the time. He wants to go be a monk and contemplate the Force, but that's what I kind of want to see. Like, I want to know what comes from that. I would love to read Jason's journal. You know, like if that was a in-universe book, that would be awesome.
Oh, kind of like Nimic's Manifesto from Andor.
Yes, exactly. Something like that would be really cool.
Well, hang on for the book called, I don't know if you've heard of it, Traitor by Matthew Stover. It's going to be right up your alley.
Sweet. I'm excited for that then. But, you know, so let's see. I'm trying to think. Jason, he goes into I know Anakin gets taught by Mara the whole minimalist use of the Force. So what's the big discrepancy between Anakin and Jason in this book?
I think Jason's more focused on like the meanings of the Force, what we're supposed to do with it, not so much like I'm going to be competitive and beat you because I'm going to be the best warrior using the Force. It's like,
did you give in?
Did you give into the Force? Did you study it? Like very, almost like he's very empathetic.
The Force is an entity with a will.
Hyper Calvinist.
Like he's a conduit of the Force, while I think Anakin is more on he's obviously younger, so he's like, I need to use the Force to make me stronger. You know, not really. I wouldn't say it's almost the opposite. It's like almost an overuse of the Force.
And he explicitly describes it as a tool. The Force is a tool.
Yeah.
And Jason says the Force, if you think the Force is a tool, that's not how the Force works. You know, he's saying the Force, we ought to try to fall in line with the flow of the Force, as opposed to making the Force do our will.
Mm-hmm.
It's to a certain extent, it's like they've fallen on the Luke versus Kip Duran spectrum, but instead of it being necessarily just about the Jedi, they're talking more conceptual about the very nature of the Jedi's relationship with the Force, which I find like right true to the heart of what Star Wars is about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much George had in developing this, but it feels very George in terms of like the balance of the Force and ideology. Yeah.
It's going to get developed more as we keep going.
Cool.
What's that, Rick?
Well, I can bring this up later, but I've been enjoying all of these different discussions and debates, and I was just thinking today, like, you know, is the idea of peacekeeping, like, there's a difference between keeping the peace and like full on pacifism, and just, you know, what is a Jedi's role if, you know, they're supposed to protect life. You know, how does that look? So anyway, just been
they're trying to figure it out too.
I know, like it's making me think, so I appreciate that.
And we're going to find Jason's hand forced a couple times. That's not meant to be a pun. Several different times throughout this series. So the first one of these standing on the precipice moments is in this book when he is called to go and rescue Danny Kui. And should have just left her down there. I'm going to say it.
What?
But, yeah. Anyway, it's an interesting little adventure, but and there's going to be more of those moments where are you really going to be a pacifist or are you going to stand up for what you believe in? And so I find that really compelling, really interesting. Let's talk about one more character before we get into a couple more overarching questions with the time that we have. And that character is this ugly mug. I'm a face only a mother could love. That is Nom Nor. Guys, Nom Nor has a huge character arc in this series, perhaps one of the most well-developed in all of Star Wars.
Wow.
What's your initial impression so far of Nom Nor?
Well prepared.
Yeah, and he's first introduced in Crimson Empire 2, where he's kind of one of these early advanced scouts infiltrating governments and sowing seeds of anti-Jedi sentiment and scouting out the enemy. Well prepared, certainly. Rick?
Yeah. He definitely seems to stand out from the Yuuzhan Vong in the sense that he does have a good understanding on how the Outer Rim and the I guess what the humans and what are we called, and the living creatures in the main Star Wars universe, like how the politics operate, how the economy, like he has a good grasp on the normal status, and he's able to use that against them.
It's so
when
dangerous.
the invasion comes. Yeah. And like even just the whole like political war he starts is really, really good as just like some cover, some smoke while the invasion's happening.
Yeah. And one thing that I'd say that what was it, Spectre of the Past, and the duology and this book got done really well is how destruction can come from the inside, right? How destruction can get caused by malpracticing, whatever, just spies, whatever, creating discord amongst certain things, creating doubt, creating fission. And we see it in real life too, right? Cold War, we saw it throughout World War II. We're seeing it currently, starting off, with sowing discord in the populace and creating illusion away from the real problem of like, everybody should really focus all your attention on this Yuuzhan Vong thing, please.
Dang, dude, I had not thought about that in terms of real world politics. My mind is reeling right now. I feel like I'm living in a meme.
Come on, sheeple.
Wow, that's a great comparison. Holy smokes. Hey, this Salvatore guy, he might have a career in as a writer.
Sounds like
it's almost like he did that on purpose. Well, guys, it's interesting what he's done. Of course, compelling character, kind of love to hate him type of character, and so much so that you're actually rooting for Borsk Phalia in this book.
No, never. I'm not there. Not there at all. Take that back.
Hang on, Rick. Hang on. Borsk Phalia does have a big part to play in this series.
Why can't we kill him off? Let him die.
Speaking of killing people off, let's talk about the big spoiler. All right. Rick, this was news to you somehow.
Yes.
Years of podcasting together.
Yes.
You had not heard about the big spoiler. Congratulations to our community on not spoiling Rick.
That's right. Thank you.
And congratulations to me, let's be honest. Because
Yeah.
I'm the world's worst secret keeper.
It's
I
a hard
saved a
one.
life, my own. Yeah. No, it is a huge one, and I'm thankful for having to have the experience. It caught me off guard. I was literally in my kitchen doing dishes, and like I had to stop and just stand there for a second. My wife came by. I was like, "Are you okay?" I said, "No, I'm not." And she's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Chewie died." So she kind of rolled her eyes and came back, and then later we talked it out. But yeah, it was intense.
Wait, you had to go to therapy because Chewie died?
No.
I was out walking the dog this time around. I've read the book before. I was out walking the dog, listening to the robot read it to me, and I had to stop, and I wept just out in public.
Mm-hmm.
I was just,
Yeah.
it hit me. It hit me hard.
Yeah.
Not like a moon hit me, but
Too
close.
soon, man. And actually, the
Go ahead.
initial like paragraphs when he dies, that was hard. That was more shocking. But it's really the unpackaging of the grief that tears at me.
Yeah.
And being a dad where I sometimes lose my temper, anger, or yell at my kid over something stupid, and just seeing Han just completely make the wrong move as a parent. And that's what really gets me too. Then the whole conversation about, might be in the next book, but what Chewie would have wanted, like what his legacy, what he wanted Han to do after that, and stuff.
Well,
and so
buckle up, because there's a lot more of Han dealing with his trauma in this series. I mean, honestly, the entire Agents of Chaos duology by James Luceno is Han just like being a deadbeat who neglects his responsibilities because he can't cope with his grief, which is very real.
Man.
Very real. I've had friends who have suffered major losses and their whole family falls apart because they can't, they don't know how to process, and it's very real. And there's a lot more trauma to come when you have an invading fleet. Decimating the galaxy, a lot more trauma to come. Hate to break it to you guys. Freddie, you said earlier in the episode you felt like maybe Chewie wasn't the right one to kill off. You want to unpack that a bit? And Rick, I think we've got a great pick of Chewie's epic stand here.
Yeah, that's a tough one, Jared. I feel like there's other characters, of course, that I could deal with. But Chewbacca to me is the counter to Han Solo, and to me it's like who are you going to have counter Han Solo at this point? And it could be let's try to reduce our characters down. We've got quite a cast here. We have the big three still. But yeah, I obviously when you look at who's all available to kill off, there's not many to choose from. Right. If you're looking at the old cast, and that's where I'm going to leave it for now.
I believe that the record, the legend goes that George specifically made Han, Luke, and Leia off limits, and so who else can you do?
Yeah.
And somebody, I believe it's Randy Stradley of Dark Horse, and he revealed this to me in our Legends Con interview, guys. So go and listen to that and the audio feed, listeners, if you're interested. And you haven't yet. I asked Stradley about his involvement with the new Jedi Order, and he said, oh, yeah, I was actually, Salvatore got the death threats, but I was the one who came up with the idea of let's kill the family dog. And that does make a lot of sense. Authors have had a lot of trouble writing for Chewbacca. They don't always know how to give him dialogue. Do you not give him dialogue? Do you do a lot of, you said it, Chewie? Or how do you deal with that? So him, yeah, let's not have that. None of that, Freddie. And so, honestly, him dying is more effective than him actually being in the books. I do admire this series for amping up the stakes by killing off a legacy character, though it hurts. Oh, it hurts so good.
And that's the point, right? That's what it was supposed to do, make you hurt. Yep. It did it.
In the first act of Disney taking over, they said Chewie's back. First order of business. First order of business. I mean, and there's some official or interviews that have said that was their first order of business was Chewie's back. Yeah. No questions asked. And in fact, this is what I was trying to say earlier before my phone started freaking playing a song. How many years have we podcasted? I've never had this happen. It starts playing music at me. I think it was trying to play the Mary-Kate and Ashley theme song, which is hilarious. I'll investigate later. But this is what Peter Mayhew, may he rest in peace, this is what he tweeted at me, he said, this was before The Force Awakens came out. But he was definitely already working on it. He tweeted at me, and I quote, "The Wookiee lives." The Wookiee lives. So, as far as I'm concerned, he was giving me insider information that he was, in fact, back for Episode 7.
Hey.
That's awesome.
Rick, Chewie's death, last words?
Was
it the right move? Is Chewie the character to take out?
Yeah. I think so. I was going to say, too, that I always appreciate a good story that is willing to make a character sacrifice worth something. And so that was definitely delivered. I think had it just been a meaningless death, I would have been, maybe more angry, more emotionally invested, but also angry at the writers for that choice. But I think this was good. It's sad, absolutely. And I can't wait to see how we're still all going to be coping with this 4 books from now or whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot. And this is not the last major death in this series. There's a lot more.
I will say,
to come.
Your was it the Stradley interview you were just talking about?
Yeah.
I was listening to that, and not very much of it because you either gave a spoiler warning or I started hearing things that I didn't want to start hearing. And so that was the closest I got to having this spoiled. Was listening to that recently, by the way. But anyway.
It's safe now. It's safe
now. I'll go back. Yep.
Guys, one last question here. We're getting into some fun stuff with the Yuuzhan Vong. There's so much lore introduced. Salvatore had a monumentous job in kicking off the series, introducing this new alien race and the world building. Rick, I know you love some world building. Holy smokes, there's a ton of world building. Let's go around the horn here and talk about some of that Yuuzhan Vong biotech. So far, we've been introduced to coral skippers. They're homegrown spaceships. You've got ooglyph maskers, which are their
their suits, their exoskeleton
disguises.
thingy. Yeah.
I was thinking there's a movie with Tom Cruise. It's like an action movie where they have
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds me of like the Dune suit with the thing that goes
Oh,
on.
Yeah, it's
I
kinda
like it.
Mission
Invasive.
Impossible meets Dune meets Star Trek. Okay, you've got amphistaffs. Amphistaffs, very Moses-like. I think we got an image, Rick, of Mara dueling a Yuuzhan Vong with the amphistaffs. This to me is like one of the coolest pieces of New Jedi Order art.
Yes.
Look at
How did I miss the Moses reference? My goodness. Yeah, that's. Oh, you're muted.
Figure it out.
There you go.
Yeah, it's very much a Moses kind of situation here. We've got the Dovin basils, which of course are the gravity well generators, which creates the what do you call that? Like an interdictor, where you have the
gravity well
sets the
protector
moon down. Right, kind of serving like an Imperial interdictor cruiser, and then develop communicators, which basically simulate a person's head.
Or
it's like
and then it starts
3D
talking, and then
FaceTime.
it inverts again.
Yeah, I would want to see some art for this because I'm confused and also grossed out. Mostly grossed out, I think.
Confused and grossed out would describe how I feel about the Yuuzhan Vong. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Which piece of this technology is your favorite?
None of it, but I think the amphistaffs was actually really cool. It's a snake, right? It's like a snake with venom, and it's as hard as a lightsaber.
But it can harden its body, right?
Yeah, but you can also use it as a whip. It's a really flexible tool, and it's poisonous for that extra poison dot, that damage over time.
I still feel like the brain, like the team, whatever behind NJO was like the spurned kid who's making up new rules for the game. Is like, yeah, well, my bad guys, they can't be hurt with lightsabers and they can't use the force, around them. I still feel like that attitude is continuing with their armor.
I've got a snake that's also as strong as a lightsaber.
Is he though? Okay. Yeah. I think my favorite would be the Dovin basils. Just fun to say for one. It's like the phrase that gets stuck in my brain all week. And then they're the tool, I guess, that overloads the shields and fighters, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of skimmed through a lot of the Yuuzhan Vong lore this time around.
I'm pretty sure that was how it's established too. Is that's the way that they're able to,
they were used for propulsion, defense, and other stuff.
Yeah, very creative
versatile.
use of gravity and just the energy that it
micro
moves.
black holes.
Yeah, that's fun. I will say, if we're going to talk as far as sci-fi comparisons, definitely getting some Star Trek vibes for sure in all of this, which we can talk more about it in a future show.
Yeah, that would actually make a good kind of in between roundtables episode. The Star Trek echoes of the Yuuzhan Vong, and that'll be the week that I'm out. So that'll be great. Well, guys, how good of a job do you think Salvatore did in kicking off this massive event of a series? Obviously, this was huge for them to bring him in. He ends up doing the Attack of the Clones novelization, and that's it. I mean, huge, absolute A-list fantasy author kicks off this series. How good of a job do you think he does in setting the tone for what's to come?
Whew. What a kickoff! What a start to a long series. Honestly, I'm ready, to continue going forward. I've read a couple already. I think Rick has too, and I don't want to stop yet. It's still developing. It's crazy how many books I'm in, and it's still developing, and things are still happening. It's like, oh my goodness, what is book 15 going to be like?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. So very happy with
book
this
15. Which one is that? Is that Trader? That's a good one. I'm not certain. Not certain which one is 15, but I think especially his strongest suit here is I think the philosophical, showing the different sides of the ideology that's developed, almost like political parties. Both of which I think taken to their extremes are a bit dangerous, but you can definitely see how people can fall in one of two camps concerning, the Anakin versus Jason, the Luke versus Kip sort of thing, and that's going to continue to evolve and develop, and people cross over from one side to the other. Some people go so far one direction, they fall to the dark side. Some people, it's great. It's good stuff. So I also think he does an excellent job at the world building. Excellent job establishing the Yuuzhan Vong as villains to be reckoned with. There's a sense of foreboding, the doom that's to come. The first 100 pages or so is fantastic. I think it's an achievement for an author to leave you with that sick feeling in your gut. I mean, for an author to achieve that is huge. I will say my biggest complaint, would like to see some more Jedi stuff. Some lightsabers. And kind of like that hope and optimism of the High Republic. I'd kind of like to see that. But this is not the High Republic. The new Jedi Order walked so that the High Republic could run. Except for I probably like the new Jedi Order better. So take that. Take that what you will.
Yep.
Take that, blast bug.
A lot of good stuff here. Good stuff to come with the new Jedi Order. Only 18 more books to go.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, what's that?
Yes, 18 more. And my only comment was just to say that I immediately wanted to start the next one. Like it was not a, okay, take a break. It was a, what happens next? I want to go. So that's always a big compliment.
I pretty much feel that. You might get stuck a time or two throughout the series. I know a lot of people get stuck during Star by Star because it's just huge, massive. But I would say push through, and it'll be worth it. So in the meantime, if you're looking for a little bit more listening to do, check out our sister shows, The Cosmic Force, right here on the Utini Vault channel, as well as the Star Wars. He's got a Utini Vault custom logo that he did. Love that, Rick. And the Star Wars Archives, I got a chance to guest there, talking about the Jedi Prince books, and holy smokes, that episode is wild. At one point, Jose starts ranting about like the feminism and patriarchy in the book, and it's almost like an hour-long rant. Wow. It is absolutely one of the pinnacle achievements in the history of Utini podcasting is Jose's performance on this Star Wars Archives episode. So can't wait for that to hit everybody's feeds very soon. But that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for joining us for Legends Look Back. Thanks to our incredible patrons for your support. We promise not to drop any moons on you anytime soon. A special thank you to Brian Dooley, Carl Sander, Michael Fry, Raymond Bazinski on our Jedi High Council, as well as James T. Ashley Ingalls, Colton 5, Chris Carrizo, and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command. Thank you for your amazing support. If you'd like your thoughts right on the show, our contact information can be found in the description. You can catch us live every other Tuesday night at 8:30 Central at youtube.com/@UtiniVault. Ring that bell if you want to get notified whenever we go live. Remember to sub to the channel, leave us a review in your podcast platform of choice. We're also on Twitter at Legends Lookback. Send us your Legends memes. We'll retweet them. And remember to keep the Utini fan code and be a force for positivity in the fandom. May the Force be with you.
This is a Utini broadcast.